Hello! Didn't stick around in the car for this one because I went with Liliana and she needed to be somewhere. I dropped her off where she needed to be and got her opinion on the movie for 50 Shades of Grey. Let's start with her opinion because her opinion's pretty straightforward. She's a fan of the book and she said it was a good adaptation and it was fine. She liked it. Now for my opinion. The movie was boring. Like, this was the absolute worst result that could have happened for this movie. It could have either been a groundbreaking peek into the world of BDSM relationships, unlikely given the source material, but change things and you could maybe pull that off. Or it could be a hilarious mess of failure with terrible acting, terrible line reads, and the sort of hilarious bad movie on the same level as, say, Showgirls. Well, it chose to be a bad movie that's bad in all the boring ways. I wish I had more to say, but it was just, I was falling asleep during the spanking scene. I shouldn't have been falling asleep during that scene. I haven't read the book. I might, just to see how they compare, because it looks like the book might actually be the terror-bad piece of hilarity that I was looking for in this movie. But the movie was just boring. The main actress did... Actually, okay, there were two things that worked about this movie. One, Danny Elfman did the score, and he did a really good job. Two, the lead actress, whatever her name is, I could look it up because I've got the computer right here, but I'm too lazy. She did a really good job. Like, she had some really funny lines, and like, for the first half of the movie, I was actually pretty consistently chuckling either at how dumb the setup was or at like legitimately funny moments where it felt like the writers were subtly poking fun at the source material, and her comedic timing was just spot on. It was great. She was wonderful. And the guy who played Dorian Gray, okay, he kind of went back and forth. When he was being romantic or having, like, sex scenes with the girl, I bought it. Like, he did a good job there. But when he was having to be the steely 27-year-old billionaire who runs his own company and is untouchable in the heart and is tortured because his mother was a crack whore, he couldn't pull that off. He couldn't pull off the steal, and it didn't work at all. And they did a lot of rewrites, clearly, for this movie. And unfortunately, there's only so much that rewriting can save if the structure of the story isn't well done. Because according to Liliana, this movie is accurate to the book, which means that the book ends on just an out-of-nowhere cliffhanger thing. Like, cliffhangers are one thing, but they have to see them coming. The only movie that it even vaguely puts me in mind of is actually how the end of Gone Girl just sort of happened. But Gone Girl at least was a winding down. I felt like we were just starting to get somewhere in terms of conflict, and then the movie's over with 50 Shades of Grey. It was extremely underwhelming. It's that most tiresome of romances where the two leads have chemistry, or they're supposed to have chemistry. It depends on the portrayal, but they're supposed to, like, really click. But one of them has, like, a past and is all emo about their past and is like, no, you don't understand me, and keeps shoving the other one away because they're not worthy of being loved. It's the most tiresome, because there's really nothing other than Dorian... why do I keep thinking his name is Dorian Gray? Because his last name is Gray. There's really nothing keeping them apart other than Gray's insistence that he doesn't do romance. He says that like 5 times. And that's so stupid because he's like, I never sleep with someone. He sleeps with her on like 3 separate occasions. I'm like, dude, you are breaking your own rules like all the time. It's like, I don't do romance. I don't do dating. I don't do gestures of kindness. You've done tons of them in this movie. I don't know what the hell you are talking about. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how the portrayal of Anastasia Steele... The names, man, the names. I don't know how the portrayal of Anastasia Steele holds up in the book, but in the movie, she is the virgin who learns from the older gentleman, but she's into it at least, and she picks up on it, and she's looking for an actual romantic relationship, and why wouldn't you with your billionaire boyfriend? It wasn't very possession porny. This was one thing I specifically asked Leon about. She said they toned this down. Him buying her stuff was much more of a thing in the book than it was in the movie. I mean, yes, he gets her a new computer, he gets her a car, he gets her some classic first edition books. Hey, Butternut, come on. Psst. Come on. He gets her some classic first edition books, and she's all like... But it doesn't seem like she's being wowed by his pocketbook. Now, she is, on occasion, does seem to be getting a little wowed by his ability to, like, take her for romantic night rides in helicopters and play classical piano for her. Yeah, he's 27, and he knows how to fly a glider, a helicopter, and play classical piano. Bullshit. Those are skills that take time to learn, and time is one thing you don't have when you're trying to become a billionaire before you're 30. Unless you're Notch, I guess. Actually, Notch isn't a billionaire. Yeah, you need, like, so much time. Being a billionaire is so much work. Like, to get there, it takes so much work. I just don't buy that he's had time to do that. Again, it's so weird to say that I was bored. Because his playroom has got, like, horse tails, cat-o'-nine tails, like literal cat-o'-nine tails, and wooden planks for spanking people. He's got, like, leather cuffs for, like, sticking people's arms up in the air. He's apparently, in the only 6 years that he's been doing this, because, again, the timeline is drawn, he's had 15 different women sign contracts to be his sub. And I'm like, how long did those contracts last? They couldn't have lasted very long if you had 15 in 6 years. I mean, that's what, 2.5 a year? 15 divided by 6. Yeah, 2.5. 2.5 a year. That's just, wow. And Anna has very clearly got, like, a whole bunch of guys vying for her attention in the first act of the movie that all just get brushed aside by the very needy and control-freaky Mr. Gray. He doesn't come across... He probably is in the book, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone interpreted him as a creepy stalker in the movie, but he doesn't come across as one in the movie to me. He just comes across as a guy with nothing better to do with his time other than obsess over this one woman, and it would be creepy if she wasn't okay with it. On the BDSM sex, it's not very sexy. It's not. He handcuffs her on occasion with not even real handcuffs. And on one occasion, he actually spanks her with, like, a leather belt. And then, I know this is going to sound horrible, but I was watching him, like, the actor use, like, a riding crop. And I'm like, you're using it wrong. I'm not, like, an expert on BDSM, but I know more than the average person does because of reasons. And he was using it wrong. Like, okay, when you smack someone with, like, an implement, you are not supposed to hit their tummy area. You are not supposed to hit They're clavicles, okay? You're supposed to aim for the fleshy legs or backside, areas with lots of muscle, because those absorb the impact. You don't go for the stomach because that's where internal organs are, and you don't go for bone because bone has no cushioning and it really hurts. So, I mean, now that I've explained it, you know more than the guy who's got an entire playroom of this stuff. Congratulations. In terms of how it portrays a dom submission relationship, it at least acknowledges that both parties have to agree to the terms. It's got the whole safe word thing. Yellow and red are pretty lame safe words, but whatever. Green light. Red light. Green light. Minnow. Did anyone else ever play that pool game? Minnow, and everyone moves closer, closer. Shark! And then you try and catch them before they get to the other end of the pool. It's sort of aquatic red light, green light. I don't know. I liked that game as a kid. The sex scenes have a bit of nudity. Well, quite a bit of boobs and asses in this movie, but nothing that's that spectacular. On more than one occasion, I was looking at the female actress and I was like, eat a sandwich, girl. Like, really, your ribs are too visible. Too visible. Like, it's one thing if I can see your ribs when you're doing this, but if they're like this and I can still see your ribs, then you might need to eat something. How much time do I have to fill? I've got to fill another 10 minutes while this video uploads, because I'm uploading the Kingsman video in the middle of this. It was just... It had good elements. There were good elements to this movie, but the bad elements weren't horrendously bad. There was just more of them than the good elements. So what you end up with just, it's generally, to my mind, not a very good movie. In all the boring ways. It wasn't hilariously awful, and it wasn't legitimately enjoyably good in terms of being a romance story. I suppose you could enjoy it as a fairly good adaptation of a not very good book. But, well, they're making more of these, so maybe they get worse? I don't think that could... Maybe the screenwriters will, like, take some more liberties with the story and just... Oh, one thing that did, like, stick out to me, and it was really weird that I noticed this, but there was a lot of elevator action in this movie. Like, there's a lot of elevators going up and down, elevator doors opening, oh, hi, elevator doors closing, goodbye, making out in elevators. I don't know why. There were just a lot of elevators in this movie. And it was weird. And there was a lot of Apple product placement. Gotta make that money somehow. Well, it was a pretty packed theater at 3:15 in the afternoon. I mean, I know it's Valentine's Day, so there were, I knew there were gonna be people there, but it was still just, it was an off time for it to be that packed. The audience was kind of in agreement with me on the movie's quality. They were laughing. They were kind of in the spirit of it for like the first 40 minutes or so, but after a while they just shut up. Like, no one seemed to be enjoying themselves. Had a very chatty lady sit next to me in the movie theater. That was an experience. Sits down and is like, all you guys were dragged here, weren't you? And I was like, no, I was here of my own free will. I do movie reviews. And she, at the end, she had like her daughter and her daughter's two friends who were like under 18, I guess, into the movie. And like before the movie started, they all ditched the mom and like went to sit somewhere else. Can't blame them, really. I think the mom may have had a few. She was very chatty. And then at the end of the movie, she was like, that was a piece of shit. And I just wanted to crack up. And I'm like, really, lady? You were all gung-ho for this. This movie is probably not going to make as much money as they expect. Like, it's going to make a lot of money right now for like a few days while everyone catches up on seeing it. But I think like in a few weeks, no one's going to want to see this anymore because it's not an entertaining sit. It's not a slog. Like, at no point was I like, oh my god, this is painful, be over, like I was with Let's Be Cops. With Let's Be Cops, I was just like, end, please, end, get me out of here. Here I was falling asleep in my chair. and it was the middle of the day. Maybe I should have taken my Sobian with me. What am I at? 7 minutes left? Well, let's see what previews I remember. Crimson Point, Guillermo del Toro doing another sort of gothic horror movie. Didn't really get a good sense of the plot, but it looked amazing. I really look forward to that just because Guillermo del Toro worked on it, and I love everything he did. Let's see if I can. Upcoming movies. No. The second, no. Cinderella, that was one. Cinderella, the preview I got for this one actually showed me a bit of plot, and it looks like they have decided to expand the plot of the original Cinderella, the live-action one that they're making, with, like, the evil stepmother being more evil, and there being, like, an evil general thing in the castle, and with Cinderella and the prince meeting prior to, like, the ball, which probably a good idea in terms of story. And I think he recognized her. He's like, "You're that girl I met in the woods." And they have, like, a great time at the ball. And can't remember who's the director on that, because I remember the director. Yeah, Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh has a real eye for grand, royal sort of cinematography setting. Like, he's really good. Like, he did the first Thor movie, and that movie looked amazing. So, if nothing else, the Cinderella movie is going to be really fun to watch. Can I have my glasses on for this? Alright, still got some time to fill here. What else did we get? The Longest Ride was definitely one that we got. The Longest Ride is a Nicholas Sparks movie. So you pretty much know where you stand on that one. This one was about a woman from the big city who falls in love with a guy who's a bull rider, and he is, like, in danger of, like, breaking his spine permanently. And it didn't look good at all. Like, what was weird about it is it kept doing this, like, flashback thing to, like, her grandmother's romance while they're still, so, like, there's two love stories with very little connective tissue between them. I couldn't get a real sense of why they felt the need to combine those, but they did. That looked bad in all the ways Nicholas Sparks movies usually are. Okay, here's one. Hot Pursuit with Sofia Vergara and Reese Witherspoon. That's sort of a buddy-buddy action cop flick, except it's two women in the lead. And Sofia Vergara, and I guess your tolerance for that movie is going to depend entirely on whether you like Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. I do not. I find her shtick to be a little strident and loud, but I give the preview credit. I laughed at the preview. It was a good preview, and it looked like they gave her a good comedic foil to play against, sort of this dopey, small-town southern cop person. Pitch Perfect 2, that made me uncomfortable. Like, it was very bitchy high school movie. It made me very uncomfortable. I don't recommend. Oh yeah, Aloha. Wow, I'm finding all sorts of. Thank you, IMDb. You are just a fount of useful information. Aloha. I couldn't for the life of me understand where that preview was going, but it was another romance preview because I got a lot of romance previews out of that one. I couldn't figure it out. Let's see. Anything else that I remember getting a preview for? There was something in August, I remember. Not Minions, no. Not Ant-Man, not Pan, not Trainwreck, not Pixels, not Poltergeist. Seriously, it was weird that I got a trailer for Crimson Point, because it seemed really out of place with the other trailers that I was getting. I could have sworn there was something coming out in August that I got a preview for. I guess I didn't. Oh well. So, final thoughts on 50 Shades of Grey. Just don't see it. Like, I wish I could claim that it was some masterwork of horribleness with terrible gender politics, but frankly, the lead actress's performance elevates it above that, and the writers knew better than to directly adapt the social politics from the book, so it avoids that pitfall, but it can't completely escape the weird structure of the original book, and it just comes out boring and lame. Like, if you want to see porn of BDSM, go see, like, that's not like actual porn. Go check out Secretary. That was good, and what was the other one that Diamanda Hagen did a review of? Diamanda Hagen did a review of a BDSM romantic comedy, which I wish for the life of me I could remember the name of without having to ask her every time. No, I can't remember it. But yeah, there's other movies that if you're really that interested in this like subject, there's other places to go than this or the book. I can highly recommend the manga Nana Takaru on a very similar subject. But, God, I really do regret seeing this, because if it had just been worse, I could have, like, enjoyed it in I was laughing at it capacity, but I couldn't even do that, so I just felt cheated out of my entertainment money. So, good night, all. I won't be doing another one of these for a while. But next manga review should be up soon. Bye.